Welcome to FDev. Today we have a lot of topics and we're going to start with the TerraX update, or more specifically today I want to talk about Project Greenfield. Now what is Project Greenfield? You might remember last week I mentioned that we were aiming to get into a system called Aurora, which has been an anarchy system for the longest time. System owner is an underplayer faction called The Code. We've been invited by them to get in there. And we have some big plans for the systems. I'm not going to go into like the BGS details with what's going to happen, when and why, and which order, and those kind of things. That's like those things are still being ironed out. But the broad plans are in place. And I just wanted to share with you guys, but I think it's actually quite exciting. Now, Project Greenfield is our attempt to find a solution for the problems where a lot of anarchy factions having a real hard time with their BDS. And this is due to the fact that if they own a lot of settlements, people will go to those settlements and they will be farming the settlements. That is negative BDS influence for them, and they're going to lose access to the system. It's going to be very hard for these anarchy factions to maintain their systems and system control because of all those negative actions that's being caused by players farming materials. This is where Project Greenfield comes in, because I think we've found a way to stabilize a system in such a way that everybody, regardless of where you are and when eventually Odyssey comes on console, also for console people, the plan is to create a system where you can go and you can farm that system to your heart's content. And there's going to be plenty of anarchy-owned settlements, so you can go and you can farm them without getting bounties, and you can get all your materials in that system, and you can do so without negatively influencing the BGS in the system. As a matter of fact, the method that we think should work, again, this is untested, this is like this is new territory for us as well, but if it works as we expect it will, by farming it and by farming the settlements, you actually will help stabilize the system. Now there's a lot of work that needs to be put into the system first in order for us to like kind of lock it in that stable state. So Aurora is not there yet, and it's still a bit of a mess. But if our plan works, and I might go into details with it later when the plans are ironed out, we'll look at that. But if the plans work, we will be able to create basically like a farming heaven, and that's why it's called Project Greenfield. Some place where you can go, you can farm all the materials you want, and you're not going to get bounties for it, and you're not going to have a negative influence on the factions. In fact, you're going to help stabilize the system by doing so. That is the plan. Now, whether it's going to work, only time will show. And as I said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to build up to this. And if you're interested in helping out, building up Aurora towards this farming heaven that we hope we're going to have ready in time for console launch, then do follow the link in the description for Discord. It is discord.d2a.com. Over there you can find our TerraX section, and there's going to be stuff happening around Project Greenfield in that section there. Moving on to some out-of-game news. On Monday, Frontier Developments, they made a press release. Because they are a publicly traded company, they will have to publish their financials, and if everything happens that changes expected, revenue, those kind of things over the year, they have to go out publicly and make a statement about it. And they did that on Monday. Recently, Frontier has launched Jurassic World Evolution 2. And while the initial pre-orders were on target with what they expected, the sales after the launch has been significantly lower than what they expected. And as I said in the press release, together with lower sales on Jurassic World Evolution, and of course also the underperforming sales of Odyssey, has meant that they had to adjust their revenue target for this year. And the stock market, of course, reacted by immediately dropping the Frontier stock initially by 40%, and it has then stabilized a little bit, and is now only that's a big quotation mark here, only down 30% compared to just prior to that press release. One of the excuses Frontier used in the press release for why they were seeing this lower sales figures for Jurassic World Evolution 2, they said it's because they launched in a crowded release window. There was a lot of other games launched at the same time, and which I think is a little weird because, well, yes, it's November. Of course, there's a lot of games launched in November. That is the busiest time for game launches every year because everybody's scrambling to get their new game out before Christmas so they can get it on people's Christmas wish list. It's always busy around November every year. So, and I even I haven't checked up the numbers, but I don't even think that this November has been that bad compared to other years. There's been some decently big titles for sure, but I don't know if it's been extra crowded this year. I mean, so either Frontier didn't know that November is already a busy year, which being a game publisher, I would expect they do, or they're just using that as an excuse for a game that may have received relatively good player feedback, but is just not performing in terms of sales. In other news, Frontier is also hosting a community meetup event, and that's going to take place on the 10th of December. It's going to take place in Cambridge over in the UK. So if you are in that area or wanted to travel there, which can be a little difficult at this point in time, you can go. I'll post a link in the description for more information about the event. There's only 100 tickets available, and all revenue from the event will go towards Special Effects, which is a company that creates specialized gaming hardware for people with disabilities so they can get into gaming as well. I think the timing for the event here is a little weird, to be honest. I mean, COVID across Europe is at an all-time high at the moment, and there's going to be, if not already, there's going to be travel restrictions coming pretty soon, I would expect. And also it's been announced very close to the actual event day. I mean, this is in 2 weeks before the event or something like that. They announced it. So it's going to be very, very close to the event itself. Either this meant that this was something they decided to host like very last minute, or they have deliberately waited with announcing it until very close to the event in order to maybe have less people come in from abroad. Maybe they want to kind of say, hey, we just want to host something. Preferably, they just wanted there to be locals, at least in the UK area. And they could kind of, not force it, but they could kind of tilt it in that direction by announcing it so close to the event. So it would be a little more difficult for people abroad who would need to figure out travel restrictions and hotel bookings and those kind of things. I mean, it is on a Friday, so we also need to take a day off work if you want to actually travel there. But it's in the afternoon, so for people local, they would be able to make it after work. So I don't know if that's kind of a way for them to say, hey, they would prefer the majority was from the UK. I don't know. That's just a guess. But anyway, if you are interested, as I said, there will be a link in the description. Last week I talked about the whole drama regarding experimental effects on the new frameshift drive that we got from a recent community goal, where it initially wasn't able to put experimental effects on these double engineered frameshift drives. Frontier then said first that it was as intended, and then later backed down on it, and then they allowed us to put experimentals on it. But it seems now that the fact that you can't put experimental is going to be an ongoing thing for future modules, because for the current community goal, one of the modules you can get is a Class 2 Ensign missile rack with increased caustic damage as well as increased capacity. But this is a unique, augmented, unmodifiable missile rack. And that means you're not going to be able to put experimental effects on this missile rack. I am pretty sure we're going to see this for all future double-engineered modules, but the big question is, what about the ones that already exist? Now, obviously, the modules where you have already put experimental effects on it, they're not going to go and take that away. I find that highly unlikely. So if you have modules, they've already been modified, double engineered, and experimentals, I don't think that's going to go. They're not going to take those away from you. But I don't think future modules is going to be able to. But we also know that some of the existing modules is going to come as a reward again. And the question is, for instance, there was a Galnet news where the Brewer Corporation, the guys making both the fleet carriers, but also the Colonia bridge, all the mega ships going between the Bubble and Colonia, they post a news on Galnet where they said they were going to continue the project next year, and they kind of hinted very strongly that there would be more of these double-engineered frameshift drives up for grabs as a reward from that community goal. The question now is, when we unlock those modules, will those be double engineered? I mean, we can double engineer them today, but will future ones we get be double engineerable or not? Personally, I hope, because otherwise that just means that some players will have some modules, some frameshift drive that's going to be better than anything else in the game. Nobody else is ever going to be able to get your hands on those if you didn't take part in that one community goal. And that just doesn't feel right, to be honest. that you have these modules that are just better than anything else that nobody else can get their hands on because Tobii decided they made a mistake. So personally, I hope that the modules that are already there, like the frameshift drive, for instance, are going to be continued to be modifiable so you can add your experimental effects on it. But I am also expecting that future modules is not going to be modifiable. Let's jump over to Star Citizen, where the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2951 is coming to a close. Last day will be the 1st of December. Of course, the free fly event is still ongoing and will last until the 1st of December. So it's been a good event. I think I've really been enjoying it. We got a lot of new ships, both already that we can now go and fly in game right now, but we also got a very, very exciting announcement about a new ship that I'm personally really looking forward to. For new ships, of course, we got both the Redeemer, the absolutely insane gunship that just has all the guns and is going to do a ton of damage. Talking about high damage ships, we also got the Ares Starfighters Ion and Infernal, the laser and ballistic variant of the Starfighter with these huge size 7 cannon. These are fantastic and I love them, and I'm gonna save up some in-game credits to buy one when 316 comes around so I can go ahead and have that because it's such a fun ship to fly. We also got the Argo Raft, a new medium-ish cargo capacity transport ship from Argo. Kind of the same size as an Argo Mole, but just instead of being mining focused, it's just a transport ship. Now, all of these ships are already available and you can go ahead and fly them in-game today if you want to. But we also got an announcement of an upcoming ship called the Misk Odyssey. And yes, it's going to be an absolute pain for a channel that covers both Elite and Star Citizen. We now have the Update Odyssey in Elite and the Starship Odyssey in Star Citizen. The Misk Odyssey is going to be a pretty large ship. Size-wise, we're going to look at something like the Carrack, and this might actually be a Carrack killer because, oh my god, this ship looks awesome, at least on paper. It's going to have a ship hangar, so you can store small ships in it, or extra small size hangar actually. So it's going to have smaller ships, nothing big or fancy, but a small, get around. It is an exploration ship, so it's a small shuttle kind ship. You're going to have a garage for vehicles. You're going to have a med bay, just like on the Carrack. It's also going to have a size 2 mining laser, which what made me really excited about this ship. This is the same size mining laser that we have on the Mole, but I don't think it's going to have multiple ones. It's just going to have a single one. But it's also going to have a tractor beam, so you can haul in cargo via a tractor beam. And here's the kicker. There's going to be an onboard refinery. Now, how they're going to work, I have no idea. But what has been described, at least, is they're going to be able to take Quantinium you can go and mine and turn it into quantum fuel. And there's going to be some kind of fuel scoop, I think, that it can take gases when it flies through maybe the gases like Lagrange clouds. They're going to turn that into hydrogen fuel. So it's going to be able to refuel in space. It's going to be fully self-sustainable, which I think is awesome. Now, the question with the refinery, of course, is will it also be able to take that mined Quantinium and turn it into cargo? Because if it can do that, then all of a sudden you have yourself the perfect mining platform where you sit, you mine Quantinium, and instead of having to run back to a station before the whole thing blows up, you can put it straight into a refinery on board the ship that will then go refine it, and if we can refine it into cargo, that's going to be an absolutely amazing add-on to the game. And if we can do some transferring between ships, I don't know, but if we can transfer against ships dock at it, we can transfer Quantinium over, then we will really begin to look at something that could be interesting for a fleet support ship, which is their intended purposes. But I don't know if it's going to be able to transfer Quantinium into cargo or if it's only going to be transferring into quantum fuel. Guess we'll have to wait and see until we get a little bit more information about the ship. So yeah, definitely lots and lots of interesting things happening in Star Citizen at the moment. Lots of new ships, new toys to play around with. And again, as I said, the free fly event is going to last a few more days. So if you haven't tried it out yet, you can go to getstarcitizen.d2a.com. There is a link in the description. You can sign up there, and then you can try the game at least for a few more days. Finally, the live stream tomorrow. There's been a lot of Star Citizen live streams here during the expo, but tomorrow we are going to jump back into Elite, and we're going to head out on my Colonial, and we're going to head back out into the Black. We're going to start another little exploration trip as we're going to head out, and hopefully we're going to find something interesting along the way. I have a destination in mind, but we're probably not going to reach it tomorrow. But the plan is to head out into the Black, do some exploration, look at some interesting sites, because I usually stumble across something and get myself into trouble when I do these kind of live streams, so that should be a fun thing to watch. As always, it's going to be 8 o'clock in-game time, and it's going to be on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you guys in space.